Up next is Anarghya Vardana. Anarghya is an investor at Rothenberg Ventures, located in San Francisco, and has attended Stanford University and spent 4 years at Google and other startups. Anarghya is passionate about women in technology in the developing world, and as an investor, Anarghya works with lots of companies. Her speech is called The Many Faces of Entrepreneurship. Please welcome Anarghya.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to kind of share my story and hopefully share a couple of things that are useful to you, especially you young folks who are out there excited about being entrepreneurs and excited about building companies. So to start off, I want to ask a quick poll of the audience, which is, how many of you know exactly what you were passionate about? Raise your hand. You know exactly what you're passionate about. Okay, keep it up. For those of you who know exactly what your passion is, how many of you are willing to do anything to make that come to reality? Keep your hands up. All right, the light is in my eyes, but I see a few hands up for the first one, which is you know exactly what your passion is, and I see some brave souls who have their hands up, thank you, and say that they will do whatever it takes to really make that passion come to a reality. So I've had the privilege and honor of being able to have a really wide variety of experiences in my career. I started out at Google working on internationalizing products. So this was taking products that Google had at the time launched in the US and Canada, so very understandable US English-speaking markets, and expanding them internationally. And I started my career here working on that, and it was an incredible experience. I worked with some of the best tech leaders in the industry. I learned a lot from best processes, best methodologies, and the best approach to really make sure that your product is a success. And while I was working on this, I reverted back to my 6, 7, 8-year-old self. And so around this age, my father, being the amazing father that he was, would send tons of nonfiction books my way and say, you have to read this. This will inspire you and help you be an amazing leader, an amazing professional, and help you the rest of your life. So one of the things I read was science history. And I remember hoping and wishing that I would have an Isaac Newton gravity moment. And let me explain what I meant by that. I wanted a moment where an apple or something, some metaphorical apple, fell on my head and clicked for me. Something that told me, oh my God, this is going to change the world. It is going to change the way people perceive and look at the world. And therefore, it is going to change the way we build and create for ourselves. And ever since that age, I wanted that one aha moment. And when I was at Google, I thought, okay, great, this is my first job out of college. I'm going to find this aha gravity moment. I'm going to have an apple fall on my head, and I'm going to forever fall in love with one thing that I will spend the rest of my life working on. And it's not that easy. It turned out that I didn't have that aha moment, but around that time, there was a sense of YOLO. So the kids in the audience know what this is. So for the parents, my mom knows now, but YOLO means you only live once, I think. So something around that. So basically, you have one chance, and you really have to make the best of it. And this really clicked with me, and I said, if I'm not passionate about what I'm working on right now, I'm learning, it's cool, I love technology, I am passionate about technology, but I haven't found that focal point, I need to move on. And so I'm going to share a little bit more about finding that focal point within your passion. So after Google, I decided that perhaps a startup, perhaps the entrepreneurial route would be the way to find my focal point. And now I come to an experience and a myth, I think, that goes around, which I think a lot of my fellow speakers have debunked, which is the glamorous, romanticized nature of being a startup founder, of being an entrepreneur. And I credit many Facebook posts to this and Instagram posts and all the things where people are like, oh, got this amazing advisor on my board, or oh, I got to attend this party at Peter Thiel's house. There is a sense of the startup life being glamorous, being fun, being amazing. It is all those things, but it is really, really, really hard work. And I think all of you know that, and I'd just like to further drive that home, not to discourage you, but to prepare you for a really roller coaster ride that I experienced when I left Google and started working on my first startup. And I was working on a payment startup with some other folks that I knew from Stanford and a couple of friends, and hoping that this was going to be my gravity. This was going to be the moment where I built something that was paradigm shifting, that was exciting to me, and that really made me want to build this all day, every day, with all the sacrifices and all the struggles it is required to be an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, this didn't end up being what was the case. I would go to sleep at 3 a.m., wake up at 5 a.m. for some feature releases, some product releases, some press releases. And I realized, like, if I am putting in the struggle and the sacrifice, which is what entrepreneurism takes, this is not what I want to do it for. And that was an important learning for me in that journey. And I think it finally clicked that the sacrifices required to be an entrepreneur, which many of the other speakers hit on, are immense. And you are at a point where you either do or die. Failure is right around the corner, and it takes a lot to be able to overcome that failure, both personally, physically, mentally, and in many other aspects of your life, including relationships, including health, including giving up a lot of things that you might be able to do if you weren't an entrepreneur. So I left that opportunity and took some time to really explore other things by consulting with startups, with seeing what the entrepreneurial life looked in different settings. One of those things was working at a nonprofit tech startup in Nairobi in Kenya. And we were working on data management, data visualization, and allowing for large streams of data that NGOs and organizations on the ground in developing countries were using to make decisions. And interestingly enough, a lot of these organizations at the time were using basic methods, basic enough as paper and pencil, to consume large amounts of data and to make decisions based on them. And they were ineffective, and they weren't able to take the best steps forward to create the most change possible. So we created this data management software and system in a way that would be very user-friendly, especially for a non-tech savvy population or a non-tech savvy organization. And this was an exciting time in my life because I was afforded the opportunity to really travel a lot around East Africa, do a lot of user experience study to really understand how I wanted to shape this product and what it would end up looking like. And you know, it was another moment for me. I loved what I was doing, but data management, data visualization just wasn't that focal point within my passion. I was still within my larger passion of technology, but I wasn't at the focal point. And it clicked to me where last summer, I was almost killed in a brush fire in Tanzania. So I was in Tanzania doing user experience research for wells, where we were seeing how we would data manage the level of water and see where the water level was. And there was a massive brush fire where I was staying in this village out in the middle of Tanzania. And it was dangerous and it was scary. And I hope that most entrepreneurs don't go through a brush fire as one of their startup experiences. But it was the reality for me. And at that point, I decided, like, this is also not the focal point of my passion. So spent a couple more months really launching the product and figuring that out. But the next thing that really came across my path was eye-opening. It was exciting. And I felt like for the first time, it was the focal point of my passion. And that's where I am right now. So I'm an investor, a venture capitalist at Rothenberg Ventures. We're up in the city, and I invest in tech startups, in early-stage tech startups. And so when I was first introduced to this, I saw it as an amazing opportunity for two reasons. So one is one of my personal passions and focus is to increase the number of women in technology, specifically in technology leadership. And I've been trying to do this in a variety of ways through being a leader myself, through hiring other women from my organizations within my company, but I saw venture capital as a really incredible way to do this at scale. And here was an opportunity for me to invest in women, to help them grow their startups and to help them be successful, which just seemed like a very much aha moment for me when I was introduced to this opportunity. Another thing that was very exciting for me is that Rothenberg Ventures has a strong focus in virtual reality. We invest in anything tech, but have about 20 investments in virtual reality, which is the most of any venture capital firm right now. And I am a self-proclaimed non-gamer. I don't play games. I'm actually probably the anti-gamer. But when I was first introduced to virtual reality, I thought, oh, this is just another way for people to play games. And that turned out to not be the case. This was a fully immersive experience, goggles on, for those of you who have tried it. It's truly incredible. And I put these goggles on, and I tried a variety of different things, and this was my jaw-dropping moment. And what really clicked for me was, I think my frustration after reading about gravity was I felt that I couldn't be a part of something that would really change the way humanity existed. I wasn't going to discover the sun. I wasn't going to find out that we rotated around the sun. I wasn't going to discover gravity. And I wasn't going in the route of physics to discover string theory or whatever else these amazing physicists now are working on. But when I saw virtual reality, it was clear that there is a very clear cut in our evolution right now. And one was the internet. The internet changed the way we consume data, the way we told stories, the way we interacted with each other, and it continues to create that change. And mobile cell phones was just another inflection point in that. And I was super excited by virtual reality because I think that virtual reality is going to be that new change. It's going to affect every single industry. And this was a moment for me that I felt like, hey, maybe I'm not going to discover gravity, but I can be a part of growing this technology, growing content within this technology, and helping this technology affect every single industry. So I was lucky and very happy to be able to have found this experience, found this focal point within my passion, a little over a year ago. And what I want to leave you guys with is find your gravity, find your apple, find that aha moment for you that makes you realize that you are okay with spending the rest of your life working on this. You are okay with late nights, with back-to-back flights back and forth from New York, from talking to people until your voice is hoarse, because this is what you want to dedicate your life to. You have a vast ocean of passion. Find that focal point within it, and you understand that within that focal point, you really won't have any failures. You may have what seem to be failures, which is like, oh, this didn't work out, that didn't work out. But at the end of the day, you are working on what you're excited about, and that's all that matters. So thank you.